What up, guys? Steven Kristoff here with the Gate Drop Pod Show. This is episode 7. We interview one of the best photographers in the Northwest. He's worn crazy socks, he's worn camo shorts, he does the videos for the Pacific Northwest MX series. He has epic photos. It is Jesse Smith. We get to hear all the ins and outs of doing camera work, why he sticks around in the Northwest, and much more. Here comes episode 7 of the Gate Drop Pod Show, and it starts now. All right, this is Steven Kristoff here with the Gate Drop Pod Show. I am with Jesse Smith. He's been in my wedding. You've seen him at the track. He has the crazy socks. How's it going, Jesse?
Steven, it's going pretty well. Thanks for having me.
Heck yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you about dirt bikes, photos, all the crazy stuff you do. You seem to do a lot of stuff behind the camera and then sometimes get caught, with the camera on you.
Yeah, it's fun to be the one on the other end of the lens from time to time.
I know I have plenty of silly shots of you for the memory
Yeah,
bank.
there might be some forgettable ones out there too.
So, first off, just to hop right into it, how did you get into photography and especially shooting dirt bikes and whatnot?
Well, I've always been the artistic type growing up. I was always the kid drawing in the classroom and not really paying attention too much. And then my dad, he had a 35 millimeter film camera, and I kind of picked up that come high school and started enjoying it a lot, doing the black and white photography. And from there, just progressed. I think it was my senior year of high school. I bought my first digital camera. It's like a whopping 6 megapixel digital Rebel Canon. And yeah, ever since then, I've just invested more and more money into it and just progressed with it. Like I'm sure a lot of people have been seeing it lately. Some of my throwbacks from like 2005, 2006, that was like at the start of everything. And sometimes I go back and look at those old photos and cringe a little bit. But it's cool to see where I've come from.
Oh yeah, I've been enjoying all the shots. I'm seeing shots of Carmichael, Villapoto. If you come across any Ryan Dungey ones, let me know. I will snag those right off. I'll send you some money for those because you
I
know
have
how I'm
some
a
back in the
Dungey guy.
yeah back in the 62 days. I've got some of those.
Oh yeah. So how did you get to the racetrack to shoot motocross since you started in high school and whatnot?
Well, so it all started. I was into riding dirt bikes from about the age 13. I got into it. I was just, a weekend warrior. I did it for fun. I was never very competitive. I honestly, I sucked at it. But there was a motorcycle club based out of Centralia called the Mudslingers Motorcycle Club, and they had a little racetrack off of Exit 88. And I'm sure a lot of people remember it. A lot of people like to call it the Thurston County Nationals. They're in Washington, and I became a club member with them first and foremost. I would be a flagger at the racetrack, and I had this video camera that I would film while I was flagging, which is probably a no-no. I shouldn't do. Um, I would film, as I'm kind of hanging out all day, and then I'd take screen grabs from that and try and sell them to people. And I think back on it, and I'm like, God, those images were so bad. But once I got that digital Rebel that I was talking about, like I just started shooting photos because I had some people close to me who are like, man, people pay good money to buy these photos of them riding. So I would literally just go and shoot a photo of every single rider out there. And then between rounds of that little Mudslinger series, I would print them all off on 4x6s. I'd numerically organize them in a notebook and take them to the races and sell them for $4 a piece. And just from there, just kind of built. I didn't really go places like Washougal or anywhere at first. It was just kind of mudslingers. That was my little niche market. And I would just shoot the crap out of that. And yeah, eventually over the years, I started going to places like Burnt Ridge when it used to be Trollson's Motocross Park, but it became Burnt Ridge in like 2005, I'm thinking. And I started shooting there and just, yeah, built and built and started making more of a name for myself.
Nice. Yeah, I wish Burnt Ridge was still around. I never had the opportunity to go to that racetrack because when I got into the PRO series, it was like the year after when I was interning with Dustin Kuykendall. And man, I just missed that track because looking at all the photos you have, that looks like such a unique track compared to all the rest that we shoot.
It was beautiful, man. I don't, to this day, nothing beat the photogenicness of that track at about 9 in the morning on a summer day. Like the light was coming through, and it was just when they would till up the dirt, it was just picturesque, man. Beautiful.
What do you love most about taking photos and then you now are branching out into filmmaking? What do you love about the stills and then all the films that you're doing?
I think what keeps me coming back and just loving it is probably going to the racetrack and getting that one good photo. Like, sure, I can come away with a handful of good images, but there's always that one that's just like, this is so rad. And I think it's the never-ending search to just find that epic shot at the racetrack. And I'm sure it's just you have it in your mind. Maybe you shot it in practice or something, and then at the end of the day, you go straight to that photo, and it's like that's the one, man. There's nothing like that cool feeling of just being super satisfied with something that you created.
Oh yeah.
And the same goes for video. Like I still consider myself pretty new at it, and I'm always learning. And I think it's the ability to just I'm learning something new every time, and it just keeps me coming back. And I think that's what's enjoyable about it.
Yeah, I know there was at one point at Woodland for Pac West, the sun was hitting the section just before that tabletop where it was backlighting a lot of the riders, and I was just
Hmm.
enjoying that moment. I think it was like 3 or 4 o'clock when it did that.
Oh
It,
yeah,
it was nice.
and and those windows don't last very long, do they?
Oh no, they don't.
It's like
I
it's
know we're
there and
probably
gone.
talking pretty foreign for riders and whatnot for the lighting and whatnot, but it's just obviously it separates us amateurs and to the professional photographers on the things we see and all your unique things. Like I think there was like a photo last year where you started playing with puddles and whatnot at the racetrack where you're getting the images of riders in the puddles. That was unique, and I never even thought about getting shots like that. What made you think of
Oh
doing
yeah.
stuff like that?
Um, keeping it, thinking of shots like that, I think it goes back to the early days of my photography. I hung out with a photojournalist for the local newspaper, and he always told me like, try and see the image like nobody else is seeing it. It's like everybody's standing on their feet and is looking at something through their eyes, but what happens if you get down low and go ground level or get that perspective of like a child? And just trying to constantly think of those different angles, I think, is what just makes you better and just separates yourself from everything else. Is just how is everybody seeing it? Okay, now how can I do that different?
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to mimic some of your things, and I'm just like, I can't figure it out on a couple of shots. I'm like, how did he do that? And I know, I think it was 2014 when Clark County was still around, when it was OT5 when I first met you. And man, it's been quite a journey of our friendship. I'm so happy I've, got to meet you and hang out with you through the years.
Yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun.
So, what is the challenges of doing all photos, especially in an indoor setting like Clark County or even Monroe?
I think the challenges are obviously, you're limited on light, so that makes it really tough. You got to, deal with slower shutter speeds or higher ISOs. And nowadays, though, the cameras are so good that like it's easy to shoot in the dark. And if you want to bring flashes into it, add an extra level dynamicness to the images that makes it a little easier and makes the images cool. But yeah, overall, just it's hard to shoot indoors. It's so dark, and you just gotta what your settings are and know how a high ISO is going to affect the quality of your image and all that technical mumbo jumbo.
Yeah. What do you prefer shooting, more indoors or outdoors?
I think it's a grass is always greener thing because like I haven't shot indoors in quite a long time. I think OT5 might have been the last time I shot indoors. So it's been a minute and I've been itching to get out and shoot indoors, but it gets old really quick. And when you go outdoors, there's a lot to work with. You can get real creative, and I'm I think outdoors might be a little safer to shoot and stand on the side of the track. You got more places to run if somebody gets out all cattywampus and out of control. Indoors, that's a little sketchy.
What, you don't like having that scary zone of I might get hit?
Man, it's so sketchy. Like I'll stand in some precarious positions from time to time, but I'm always like, this is a bad idea. If a bike comes and hits me, I'm just gonna be cussing myself out like, God damn it, Jesse, I told you so. What are you thinking?
Yeah, there was one time, and I think it was either 2012 or 13 at Clark County. Brandon Kalberg and Mark Studebaker were racing, and I was at the end of this double, and they connected bars in the air, and I was the deer in the headlights, and they somehow split me. Brandon went to the left, and Mark went to the right, and I somehow had that Jesus moment where I just got bubble shield. It's quite a intense sport that we shoot.
And here's something I would like to hear from a rider's perspective. Okay, the S hits the fan, you're out of control, and you're careening towards this poor photographer. You got gate drop in your crosshairs. Now, what do you prefer that us as the photographer does? Should we just stay put, don't move at all, or should we just try and avoid it? Because it seems like if you try and avoid it, you're going to get hit regardless. But if you stay in one spot, maybe the rider is skilled enough to swerve out of the way. What do you think about that?
I think it's like 80-20%. It just really depends on the skill level of the rider, because all the fast riders where I like push the limit and see how close I can get, like with Devin Harriman and other riders, like I have that trust that they're not going to kill me with their bike. So usually I'm just standing still as a board, and they end up going around me, because I've seen, which I have videos from like years ago, a photographer literally jumping into the path on accident when they're trying to get out of the way.
Was that a Moto West back
Yeah.
in like 17? I remember that.
Oh yeah, I think we all
Man.
remember that. I may shed that video clip to light here real soon. That since it's been a couple of years.
Yeah, it's time. It's time.
Yeah, but I think just the skill level of the riders, the beginner riders, you never know what's going to happen, because they're going to go left to right or just right into you. But I think standing still is the safest route of being safe.
Yeah, I'll definitely put myself in a sketchier spot when it comes to like pro and intermediate riders. But those beginners and juniors and the little kids, I keep my head on a swivel and just be ready to run, or just don't put myself in those positions at all. Just stand back a little bit.
Right. I always laugh because there's certain racetracks that I've been to, and either the track crew or whoever's promoting it, it's like not that familiar with me yet. So they like see me in a spot and they're like, "You're gonna get hit there." And it's like, "I don't know, I'm good." Like,
Yeah, you don't.
I know I push it, but
Yeah, it's one of those things you don't want to get like, dude, do you know who I am? Like, I do this
right.
all the time. I know what I'm doing. And then you get clobbered, and it's a I told you so kind of moment.
Yeah, you sure know what you're doing.
I had one of those moments with Ryan Martin at the Dream Race. Threw a big old oppo whip over the road jump, and I was standing close like I always do, but man, like that one was too close for comfort. And I even looked back at the flagger, and he's like, "You need to move." And I'm like, "You're right, I do need to move."
Yeah, I think the one thing, the skill level, just for you and I being former riders, since I've done it for over 20 years, is like when I look at a corner, the likelihood of where I'm standing, I feel I'm not going to get hit, because I take it like a pie chart, like the percentage. Like if I'm in the beginning of the corner, there's no way they're going to be able to like hit me. If I'm at the end where they're full throttle, there's a higher chance. So that's how I take like an account where I stand.
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely. You got to look at where they're going. They're probably going to drift wide out on the outside of the corner.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's always like it's like predictable, but also you have those unpredictable moments. Moving forward, when did you start shooting motocross? Was it '05 with all your kind of throwback pics you're doing?
It was like 2004 is when I really started, when I started doing the Jesse's Photos thing. And then I got a business license in like 2006 and established that name. And yeah, it's been that ever since.
What's your favorite track to shoot
Oh man, this is a tough question.
besides Burnt Ridge?
Yeah, Bird Forever. I would say my favorite track. Damn, Steven, hard hitting questions.
Gotta hit them
Okay,
while it's hot.
it it Woodland late in the afternoon on a sunny day. Washougal earlier in the morning, like practice. Anything into the afternoon is just like the shadows are terrible. I think those it's between those two.
Okay. I'm a sucker for Albany.
Oh well, understandable. Like I haven't been there very much, but anytime I have gone there, it's there's a lot of good angles and not a lot of shadows, so that's nice.
Oh yeah. Um, what was your first time doing Monster Energy Supercross? I know you posted a couple of James Stewart in like 2014. What was the first time you did big events like that?
So I did the Supercross in 14. That's the only time I've ever done a Supercross, and it's just tough to get media credentials. But that one, I happened to have a local story for the newspaper I was shooting. Ross Johnson, he was in the Tenino area, and that was kind of in the reader's circle of the newspaper I was working for. So I kind of used that angle as, hey, can you guys get me some media credentials to this event? And it worked. And so I got to shoot that, and that was an awesome experience. And I did the 2015 Tacoma Arena Cross the next year. I think those are like the two bigger events that I've done, but I've also done like concerts and stuff like that,
What's
miscellaneous.
what's the experience like being on the floor with all the fire going off and all that? Like, are you limited to where you can do things at Supercross event like Seattle?
Yeah, you are limited. Like there, it's very limited. So they'll give you a lanyard that's got a track map on it, and the green areas are where you can go, red areas where you can't go, and I'd say it's probably 15% green and 5% red. But usually, like on the sides against the walls, you can stand there. But it's a cool vibe, man. Just to be down there, all the fans and being around the bikes and just the sights, the smell. Just a really cool experience, and you get to go where other people don't really get to go, and it's very cool. I love
Yeah.
it. I wish I could go back.
I
Maybe
wish
one
I
day.
could get into that because I'm like, I don't know. I That would be my all-time dream. I made that joke like once Dungy retired, my whole plan of like doing Monster Energy Supercross kind of was like, whatever. That was the whole point of me getting into like, ooh, maybe I can get to know these riders and my like favorite ones even more. And they all retire by the time I get there.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's how I feel about it. Besides doing motocross photos, what do you enjoy shooting behind the lens?
I like any chance I can get to get outside and be in nature and just go for a walk and shoot the landscape. I think that's probably my most favorite thing to do. Other than I think it's more than motocross, honestly, because it's so rewarding to just be outside and like, maybe I'm gonna get a good sunset today. Maybe I'm not. It's the gamble of being outdoors and just taking a picture of what's provided to you. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd love to tag along with you on some of your trips because I know you got some really awesome waterfalls and a whole bunch of
Oh
these
yeah.
shots. Is that just what kind of makes your hike worth it? Finding the perfect waterfall?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like water, it can be kind of annoying sometimes going on camping trips or road trips with me because if we're out in the woods, it's like, oh, hey, there's a little water feature. Pull over. We got to shoot this for about 15 minutes, take a few long exposures. then get back in the truck and roll down the road. There's another one. But yeah, the waterfalls are probably one of my favorite features to shoot because it's so beautiful the way the water flows, and you really slow it down with those shutter speeds. It makes for a cool image.
What's your least favorite thing to shoot in all of your still photography?
Well, I don't do them anymore, but newborn photos, like I'm not about that anymore. I'll shoot them from time to time for like maybe somebody that I'm close to and they want pictures of their kid, but it's not really my cup of tea. It's not that I hate it, but it definitely takes a different touch. And I know some lady photographers that are really good at it. Anytime somebody asks me, "Hey, can you do infant photos?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, but I know somebody that you might want to go to."
What's the reason behind it? Is it just because like you don't really know how to like set up the shot, or is it the baby's crying, or is it just like purely awkward for you?
I think the shooting of like little kids, I feel like that's just a motherly touch, that you need to do that kind of photography. And th- yeah, that I don't know. That's the only way I can put it. Like I just don't have that, and there's a bunch of things that go into it. But I'm like, man, I'm gonna stick with the nature and the motorcycles.
I feel the same way. Whenever I do senior shots, I prefer like if I have to do it, which I'm willing to. I like doing the girls way more because they already like know what they want for the photos. I've had a couple like boys senior photos and I don't know how to tell them to stand and whatnot because like the girls they've like been on Pinterest for like the whole year making sure they get that perfect shot for the yearbook and I'm just over here like I don't know man, I just shoot dirt bikes.
Yeah, yeah. And so like I enjoy shooting portraits. It's a lot of fun. I have a good time with it. I feel like I can pose a guy like really well because I'm like, well, I'm a dude and I know how to stand, and I think this is a good pose. That feels good. It feels natural, so it's easy there. But then there's some girls that you're right. They know what they want and they're good at posing. But then you get some that are just they're duds. I hate to say that, but they're duds, and they're like, I don't know what to do with my hands. It's like, oh man, so I got to really harness my inner supermodel and like, okay, what have I seen on the Instagram? Like, what can I do to pose this girl?
Yeah, I still struggle on that. I just like pray to God that they know what they're doing so I can get the shot and move on.
Yeah.
What's the most you can answer this or not? What's the most expensive camera or lens that you own?
So my cinema camera, my Canon C200, that's the most expensive camera I paid for. It was $8,500 for just the body.
Jeez.
Um, but it's been like I'm glad I invested in it. It's just been a great learning tool, and I've been having a lot of fun working with it. I think my favorite piece of equipment though would be my 300 millimeter 2.8 lens because it has such a unique look, and it just really separates the subject from the background. And I think that's where a lot of the like people go, oh, your photos are so clear, and like that might be why, just because the background's not distracting and it really gets you right in there on the face of the rider, and it just separates everything from what you're the subject of the photo.
Yeah, I mean, even with my lenses and whatnot, I'm pretty conservative on my setup. 17 to 135 is like my like go-to lens, and I'm always looking at your like mega lens there. I'm like, man, should I get that too?
It's a great lens for sports photography. And like, don't do you have 70 to 200?
I do. I don't really care for it.
Oh man, you got
I'm
to get on
weird.
that.
I'm
You
weird
got to get
about it
on that
though.
70 to 200, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I don't know if it's just because I like being so close to the track to the point where I'm like high fiving everyone while they're going by.
Yeah.
I like the small lens. That's my thing.
Yeah. It's easy. It makes it easy so you're not carrying around a bunch of stuff though. So that I am a little jealous of that.
Yeah, that's another thing why I don't like to have so many things on me, because I know you run around with like two cameras and whatnot. For me, I just like doing the solo body, and I just figured out a memory card, the memory card thing that you put on the iPhone to check your photos real quick. Like that
Uh-huh.
just saved me like 1,000 years already.
Oh, nice. So you can look at your photos on your phone like right away.
Yeah, I can just pop it in.
Cool.
That's what I was doing all day at Woodland on Sunday.
Doesn't your camera have Wi-Fi?
It does, I believe, but it's just like I'm so like, even though I'm a younger generation and whatnot, like I still haven't figured out that stuff. I'm just like,
That's
I don't know.
of all the cameras I bought and like spent thousands of dollars on, none of the Canon's cameras up until this point, they do now, but none of them had like Wi-Fi, and that was just one thing I'd always wanted. Like, man, if I could just select the photos right from my phone, off the camera to my phone, that would be so cool. I could instantly post bangers to the gram, but I don't have that, so it's kind of all right. Go load them to the laptop and come back to it and post it later.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Um, where'd the crazy socks go? Camo shorts, like, is that phase over?
Yeah, it might be over. I think mainly just because I've gotten older and gained weight, so my camo pants don't fit as well. Um, but yeah, it was something quirky. I was like, I'm gonna wear this, but the camo pants might come back. You never know.
You
I
got
think I
you
need some new
gotta bring the
pairs.
socks back though. I mean, that's why I started wearing them, because I wanted to look like you. But then it got really confusing for people. They started calling
Oh,
me you and you me.
if I had a nickel for every time somebody called me Steven. Hey, Steven. I'm like, I'm not Steven, but hey, how's it going?
Sorry.
Eh.
What is the wildest thing you've ever caught on camera?
Ooh, wildest thing I've ever caught on camera. Um, I think well, back in 2007 in Lewis County, Washington, there was like some really bad flooding and log jams in the river, and it just was pretty devastating for a lot of the local community, especially out in like the farmlands. And the days after that flood, I was kind of landlocked. I couldn't make it up to Olympia for work, and I was kind of locked right there in Lewis County. So I just all day for the next few days would shoot photos for the newspaper of all this devastation, and they just seeing dead cows in people's front yards, just bloated dead cows everywhere. That
Jeez.
was that was pretty crazy, and like dead horses tangled up in barbed wire fences, and it was, I think that's the craziest thing that I've shot. I
That
have
that sounds a
here's
little eerie.
I I shot photos that I'm going from death to Billy Ray Cyrus, but I also shot a Billy Ray Cyrus concert one time at the Lucky Eagle Casino. And typically with concerts, the rule is you shoot the first three songs and then you got to get out of there. I don't know why exactly that rule is, but I was there for a solid 45 minutes or so, just shooting everything. So I was well beyond the three songs, and eventually got a tap on the shoulder from a security guard, like, he doesn't like it when you're in his face like that. Like, well, what do you mean? Can I stay and like watch the show? No, you have to leave. I'm like, okay.
Oh man, did you get
So that was
escorted out? Did they carry you out?
They didn't. No, they didn't carry me out. And I tried to reason with the guy. I'm like, hey, can I like get some quotes from some of the audience members so I have something to go along with my photos? No, you need to leave. I'm like, all right. I know when I'm not wanted.
Oh man. Um, I saw a video, I think it's from 2 years ago. You and Chris Kinerick threw a Honda 50 in a porta potty. What was that adventure like, putting that commercial together for Southbound Honda?
It was a fun little creative process, and it was cool to work with Chris because he's got that creative ideas, and I can tell by just some of the stuff he posts on social media. I'm like, he's on the same wavelength as me, and they had gotten a hold of me because when he worked at the Ridge and Southbound Honda were going to do this partnership where they give away a 50. That since I don't think that ever went through because I don't know why. Um, but the idea was, let's create like some sort of promotional video to announce this. And so we went up to the ridge and shot that one afternoon, and then we finished off the video at Southbound Honda and got video of him coming down the street there in Lakewood and buzzing around and riding into the showroom. And so it was a fun little project. And I know those guys have wanted to do another video project, but just the timing hasn't really worked out with the time of year and weather. But I'd hope to work with them again. It was fun.
Did you guys like cut the back of the porta potty out? Like, how did you get that 50 to fit?
Oh, it was tough. No, we didn't cut the back of the porta potty out, but it was kind of precariously positioned, nose down, ass end up, and it was leaking gas and everything. And it was one of those things like, all right, let's get it started and tilt it up. All right, now action. Close the door real quick before it stalls itself, and pop it out. And yeah, he made it out.
Yeah, you even had like police involved in that. Like, how do you get
Oh
all these
yes,
people involved into this stuff?
just connections, man. Like I've the officer who was the connection for that, his name's Guy Gill. Do you know who Guy is?
No, I don't.
So he works with the Washington State Patrol. He's kind of, don't quote me on this, but I think he's the guy in charge of the State Patrol's Twitter.
Okay.
And he races, his boy rides. They're in the Tumwater area, but Chris also knew him, so I kind of knew him based on shooting photos for him at the track occasionally. And so we put our heads together and we got Guy to agree to it, and he kind of coached us through, like, okay, because I had all these grandiose ideas, right? Like, well, okay, you're gonna say this, and it's gonna be like over the top. And he's like, well, I can't do that. We can say this, and it'd be more PC and friendly, and like wouldn't get us fired, kind of deal. I'm like, all right, that works. Just tell me when I'm wrong, and I'll let you do your thing. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And that actually was shot in the parking lot at my work. So I work in Tumwater, and they were in town, so it worked out perfectly. Everybody got together for an hour or so, and we just slapped that little segment together.
That's probably the most memorable like little ad slash clip and creative that like I can think of out of everything you've done so far. And then just your Top Gun videos and the PRO stuff you've been doing and the documentary style of like how it's set up. How did you like get that idea to like do that kind of filmmaking?
So I just wanted to do it differently because we all know the Instagram edits. They're cool, like whips and all that stuff, but it's played out. Even though I still make them, like they have their place, but I wanted to do something different that was going to separate the series from others and stand out a little bit and just, catch people's eye because, well, we haven't seen this before. And that Top Gun video from last year, I got to credit a lot of that to Tripp because he was the one that had the idea for the song and had the idea to get all the vocals, and he kind of spearheaded that and got all that stuff. And so I was at the track that weekend, and he started playing it over the loudspeaker. I'm like, oh my God, I knew right away. This is going to be amazing. Like, this is going to be great. So all I've got to do is just put all the clips together and make it fit. And yeah, it turned out really good. Probably my favorite one so far of all the PRO videos that I've done.
Yeah, it just seems every single video that you've produced, like it just keeps getting better and better. And that's kind of goes the same with like my photos and videos as well. Like as we get older, we find new ways and cooler ways to like show the sport.
Yeah. And that's what makes us, keeps you good and keeps you fresh, is try and do it a little differently.
So I got like two questions left for you because a lot
Okay.
of people look up to us and whatnot. For those who wanted to get into action sports photography, like motorcycle racing, what's your advice for beginner photographers?
Just shoot and shoot some more. Like, be there. I think, I don't know if it's people want to judge on Instagram cloud or how many followers you've got or whatever, but I think bottom line is just being at the track and being that person that is shooting, and these people can look at and ask, because it's that word of mouth. Like, hey, so and so is there. Here, even when you're not there, people are tagging you like, yeah, Jesse was there. I'm like, no, I wasn't. I think you just got to shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. If you're going to go to an event like PRO or Pac West, be respectful and message them ahead of time. Even if you don't think you need to, just message them like, hey, I'm so and so, like I'm shooting, can I come in? Is there anything I need to know, any waivers I need to sign before I go out on the track? Because some tracks like Washougal, their insurance is a little stringent, and so they're a little more tighter on who can and can't be in some of those spots. So it's just bottom line, just go and shoot, be there all the time, and eventually people are just going to know who you are, and you'll get there, and you'll get these opportunities to if say Verb Moto gets a hold of you, hey, can you help us with this at this race? And there you go, and that's how you get your foot in the door, and you just be that person that's always there.
Nice. That's awesome advice. I know I've got like a couple of people that have asked me, like really young photographers, like, hey, I see you doing this, I see Jesse doing this, like how can I do this? It seems impossible for me. I'm like, no, it's not really. Just get into it and I'll help you build too. I mean, that's what's nice
always
about
do
us.
It, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Like if it's something technical or anything, like how do I do this, or how do I get connections to this, don't ask somebody. Like I have no problem talking to somebody and giving them my advice on, what kind of, well, I hate what kind of camera should I get? I hate that question, but I still answer it. But yeah, just ask questions, be there, shoot, and just always shoot and constantly progress. Like look at things that you don't like in your photos and look at things that you do like, and just work on your strengths and try and cut out those weaknesses.
What, you don't like porta potties in the background?
I hate porta potties in the background, unless there's pit bikes in them.
All right, this is my final question for you before we wrap it up. If you were called up by anyone to shoot photos for, or even a video, who would it be for you to drop everything and go do it?
Oh man, it used to be Transworld for the longest time, but they're not around, so I'll go with the second best, and that's Racer X. Like, yeah, if I got a call like, hey, can you shoot something for us? I'd take that opportunity. I'd love to have my stuff in a Racer X magazine. That'd be awesome.
Well, I think there might be opportunities here because Jordan Veal's already got himself in the Racer X once. I think if we keep trying, you and I can get some shots in there as well.
Yeah, I think and look at where we're at right now. We've got guys like Austin Black, Levi Kitchen, all these young guys that we've spent years and years photographing coming up, that at some point the photos of them as youngsters and coming up through the ranks, those are going to be valuable in some way. So you never know. It could be one of us getting a call saying, hey, do you have any photos of Levi Kitchen? I'm like, yeah, I've got just a photo. His chain broke and he's pushing his bike across the finish line. It's freaking rad, man.
Oh yeah, the heart and determination of all those riders. That's what I like being 10 years into it now. I got photos of Ryder Fisher from 50s all the way up to now, even Levi Kitchen, Max Miller.
Yeah.
And I was looking at some base flug ones earlier for an Albany project, and I've got them on his 65 and 85. Just it's so sick being in this time period now to where we've shot like 10 plus years of every rider.
Yeah, and it's amazing how fast they grow up too. They'll be on 60s and then 80s, and all of a sudden they're on the big bikes. And like, what happened, man? Like, how old am I? A few more gray hairs on the chin.
Right, and then they're on Star Racing Yamaha.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's cool to see.
So, for those who want to follow you on social media or Instagram, what's the best way for people to hit you up on?
Instagram probably the best. That's Jesse's JESSES _photos. I post things to Facebook, but it's kind of absentmindedly. I'll just put, like Joe Rogan says, I post and ghost. Like I hate Facebook, and I don't answer a lot of questions that come through on Facebook. So if I'm ghosting you on Facebook, that's probably why, because I don't care for it. So Instagram's probably the best way to get a hold of me. I'm on that way more than I am Facebook. And I've got a website. That's Jesse's photos.com. It's a new website I've been building, and it's up right now.
Nice. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
When and where will we see you next at the racetracks?
You're gonna see my sexy ass at I'll be at the PRO rounds doing my thing.
Awesome. You gonna hit up all the PROs or just select ones?
I'm gonna do the first two Horn Rapids ones. I'll do the Olympic Peninsula rounds. I'm gonna miss the Airway and Fossil Bowl ones. I will be doing Washougal. I'm undecided about Top Gun yet. I might want to leave that weekend open. But I'm also doing a Mountain View Pac West round as well.
Sweet. Well, I will definitely see you at the racetracks. This is Jesse Smith here on this podcast. Hey, Jesse, thanks for taking the time and giving me all these awesome stories. I look forward to seeing you at the track soon.
Hey, thanks for having me, Steven. You have a good one.
You too. This is the Gate Drop Pod Show, and we're signing out. That's a wrap for episode 7 of the Gate Drop Pod Show. If you want to hear more podcasts, GoPros, videos from the past, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Gate Drop Productions. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, GateDrop_Pro, and on Facebook, Gate Drop Productions. If you love listening to all this stuff and want to support the Gate Drop Pod Show, make sure to slide in my DMs and I can get you hooked up with sponsorships on the podcast and much more. Thanks for listening, and we hope to have you listen to our future podcasts.